What's up, guys? Welcome to the sesh. Rob.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
So, on our quest to help 100,000 people in the Rio Grande Valley, I think we've been talking about this quite a bit. The more I learn about it, the less I want to do it.
The more difficult it sounds, right?
And I kind of feel bad about that. Like, should I feel bad because I keep learning all these things and I feel like the Rio Grande Valley just doesn't care?
Goal?
I think so. And I hope I'm wrong because our goal is to be able to put positivity and help people, as many people as we possibly can.
Bring awareness, right? So maybe not 100,000 people. We just want to reach 100,000 people with the message that that we're
pushing out. So today we have a very special guest, Candace, which is a fitness guru. Kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody
Candace,
what you do.
Welcome.
Hi, you guys. Thank you for having me. Like we were discussing earlier, the reason why I say fitness guru is because I specialize in all aspects of fitness, weight loss, strength training, rehab, all the way to bodybuilding, on stage, posing, pretty much everything. It just depends on what the client wants.
And the reason I asked you on is because I've been following you for a long time, and I see your fitness journey. And Rob and I started our journey about 9 months ago, and we saw how it changed our life completely. We learned how to eat. We were working out. We were lifting weights. We feel like men again,
Yes.
And the thing was, like, how do we get the message out to the Rio Grande Valley about how we feel inside? And I think it's through the people that are in our community, because you've been here your whole life.
Yes, I was born and raised here in McAllen, Texas.
So then let me pose you the question. How do we fight obesity in the Rio Grande Valley? How is it that McAllen is ranked #1 as the most obese city in the nation? How do we get off that list?
Well, it goes back to the culture. Down here, I'm mixed. My grandparents moved down here from Mississippi back in 1950. They had my mother and her sister here in 1954 and 56. So like actual black people born and raised in the valley, you know what I'm saying? My father's from Mexico, so I'm mixed race, both sides of the coin. Black side, I had the soul food, all that good, decadent food, yes. Mexican side, it's all the decadent Mexican food, and if you look at the way the standard plate is made here, it's all carbs. It's all carbs and a little bit of protein and very little fibrous vegetables, and that has to go back to, that was a standard meal of when we were out in the fields a lot more. Not a lot of us had vehicles where we were just driving around where we have to work. A lot of us didn't have jobs where we were sitting.
So life was more labor intensive.
So you needed all those carbs in order to have all that energy to move around during the day. Now, fast forward to the future, we're still eating like that down here and we don't do anything. And it's been shunned over the years of, oh, don't get fit, you'll get hurt, this will happen to you, all this stuff. And then there's a lot of the fake influencers as well. But if you go back to the 70s, it was actually very popular to work out. Our president back in, if we go even further Kennedy started a huge program for the U.S. about fitness and all those things. Real important for the kids and adults. But once we got to the 80s, then the carb-rich diet got very popular, and that's when our downfall came, and society itself kept on getting bigger, bigger, bigger. Down here, it stayed like that because we have to remember how many years backwards we are, about 20, 25 years, which I love, honestly, because city life to me, is whack.
It's
I
fast.
prefer very slow down here. So yeah, people, they eat that type of food. And then it's like, again, it's shunned to work out. Plastic surgery has gotten very popular as a type of tool to use to lose weight, which is kind of sad because, yes, it can be used, but they should also teach these people the importance of, again, like you guys learned, was eating right first and foremost. That's 80% of the whole equation.
Well, the thing about that is it just takes so damn long to get results. Like, I remember I was at least 4 or 5 months in and I barely started to see results. And I was like, oh, this is cool. But it takes that damn long. Nobody wants to do that. So how do you get that into?
1 to 3 months to see results, depending how much you put into it. But see, we've been lied to by, again, marketing, that, oh, you lose 30 pounds in 30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it could happen, but the person's probably like 500 pounds, you know, over 300 pounds. I had a client that she was close to the 300 range, and yes, she did lose 35 pounds in 1 month.
It's not for everybody.
But she was morbidly obese, you know? So that fools people that aren't that big to thinking, oh, if I just go 30 days all like hardcore, I'll lose 30.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work.
The closer you are to being a normal weight, the harder it is for the body to lose, because you have to remember your body wants to be comfortable. It wants to be, I don't want to say fat, but it does.
It wants to have a reserve.
It does, you know? So as you get closer and closer, it gets harder and harder. And that's where food becomes more important. And our standard food that we eat at these restaurants, and if you go and see the way H-E-B's and Walmart's set up, what do you see first? You see all the bad foods in front of your face first. All the healthy foods, you have to look for them. You know, the restaurants, really what you're being sold is ambience. You're not being sold actual healthy food. Yes, they have a healthy menu, but do you think they're really back there going like this? Oh, let me just put a teaspoon out.
Oh, absolutely not.
They're just throwing it in the healthy.
Yeah.
You know, I've had it where I've told them that I don't mind waiting the 25 minutes to have my wings, you know, grilled. And they fried them anyways and put grill marks on it.
Wow.
So it could be.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, so the main thing is we have to teach people that, yes, you can have your beans. Yes, you can have your tacos and stuff, but you got to pick one carb. You got to pick one protein, and there has to be some green vegetables in the mix of that, a lot of it, you know? So I try to start off people at the beginning with the whole plate, where you divide the plate in half. Half of it, some type of green vegetables, 1/4 your protein, 1/4 your carbs. And they freak out because they're so used to 3/4 carbs and 1/4 protein. So you have to change the mind first. And to change a habit can be, again, why people don't start seeing results maybe in 3 months, because it takes a month to maybe 3 to 6 months just to start establishing a good habit.
Yeah, and
people at the beginning, they think they could cut corners, they think they could, you know.
I did good for 5 days.
I've done this for so long, it's hilarious. I've done this when I first started as a trainer. I used to wait to measure people per month, and then like, I was like, why aren't people getting results and stuff? And of course they get mad at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, I'm spending all this money and why aren't I seeing results? I'm like, okay, these people are spending a lot of money. So what is it that I could do more as a trainer to help these people out, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start measuring them like more often than the 4 weeks. Well, yeah, I started finding out that they were messing around the whole 3 weeks that I wasn't measuring them. And then as soon as that week I told them, okay, we're measuring at the end of the week, they're trying to fix everything that week, thinking that magically they're gonna.
And I never understood that, because it wasn't until I started counting my calories and weighing my food that I really saw what I was eating, what I was consuming. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Even at home, you know.
And that's a lot of it because you're bored. A lot of it because sometimes you can't differentiate the difference between thirst and food.
Hunger.
A lot of it's stress eating. There's a lot of people
emotional
that are
eating,
very stressed out. That's another background of mine. I was when I was 12 years old, I was wearing a size 16 because I was a stress eater. A lot of bad things happened to me in my childhood that, you know, I guess, and they probably could say it because I've never actually gone to like a therapist or anything, but like PTSD and stuff, where I was eating a lot, where I got very big at the age of 12, and then that added the being picked at, wearing glasses.
It just snowballed from there.
Yeah, so then I don't even know how I learned it, but I became bulimic. So I suffered from bulimia from 12 years old all the way until I found fitness at 27, 28.
Wow.
So that's why when it gets into other things, like other types of things people do to cut corners to lose weight, I'm totally against. And it does have a lot to do with mental problems too. A lot of people use food for comfort because of the way the food is also made. There's a lot of MSG, there's a lot of things in there that spikes the serotonin levels in the brain that gets them high. So yeah, there is food addiction, there's all that stuff. And the company's actually made that because they've made food so salaciable.
Addictive, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
we're screwed.
Yes, well, and that's what I tell people. The best way you could do it is to eat clean, which is as natural as possible, and to cook it yourself, which is the hardest to do because there's tons of dishes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing also,
and that's what people hate the most.
Nowadays, everybody's fucking busy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to take the time on a Sunday to make their meals.
And that's where you have to play with the way they think about it. Because, you tell them cook for a pachanga, I could cook for 30 people. Well, put that same mentality into your meal prepping. That you're meal prepping all your food for that week when you barbecue outside. And barbecuing outside is the fastest way you can do it. Throw out some protein out there, some chicken, some beef. Beef is not bad. You can have it twice a week. It just depends on your system because some people are allergic to things. Some people aren't.
They don't even know about it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I tell them. Think of the same mentality when you're barbecuing for a game or a family thing and barbecue all your food. Put the same effort
into that, yeah.
Put half of it in the freezer. Put about 3 days worth in the fridge, and there you go. And you have all your stuff, and you're not there like, I have to do this or whatever. You got it all taken care of.
Well, there's also a rebuttal for that. Say it's the mom or the dad that has 2 kids going around, and now they start eating healthy. Now, are they cooking 4 different meals?
I started as an at-home mom and a wife. So I had to cook for my husband and my son was 9 years old.
So you can do what you wanted to do.
And then my own fitness stuff, to cook my stuff before I got into fitness, because I was just going to college at the time. So it can be done. It's just how much, you got to look at it in a positive. Yeah, because if you look at it totally negative, I mean, the whole experience, like, I got to cook this food. But if you look at it like, okay, I'm cooking this healthy food for myself. And yes, that they want this food, but this is for me and this is for my goals, because my goals aren't their goals.
Right.
And yes, you could kind of push, because I started eventually pushing health on my son because I started realizing, why am I feeding myself only the healthy stuff while I'm feeding my son trash?
Yeah.
And slowly I started pushing those things because eventually they did want to put him on ADHD medications because he couldn't pay attention. Yeah. It was his food. It was too much carbs in his food. His cereal was all sugar cereal. He always ate fast food, all that stuff. It took me a year to get him off that stuff, and he fought me tooth and nail. Like, he actually called.
So how did you do that? Because I think it's a very interesting thing because it starts at the home with the children, and it's a learned behavior.
I should have brought him because he thought I was child abusing him. He called CPS on me. I had CPS show up. Yeah,
so she's giving me healthy food.
No, they told me I was starving him, right? Wow. I remember when I was brought into the classroom, right? And they were like, Miss Fox, we brought you in because your son's saying you're child abusing him. And I just looked at him like you want me to child abuse you now, right? And they were like, no, it's okay, Miss Fox, because we looked at him, he has no bruises, so why is he saying that you're starving him? And I was like, oh my God. And then when I told the principal and the counselor, they started cracking up laughing. They didn't believe me. So they're like, do you mind if somebody goes to your house and looks? And I'm like, yes, go ahead. You'll find food in there. Healthy and sure enough, there was food, but because it was healthy.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't used to eating that type of food. You have to remember your palate isn't used to low sodium.
Yeah.
Because once your palate is exposed to all that high sugar, high salt,
and
you're trying to eat plain, so like, it doesn't have no taste. You don't want to taste that. It tastes bland.
Yeah.
You got to eventually get to it. So he wasn't trying to eat all that stuff, but I'm the parent. So, and I'm hard-headed, like, an MF, and I put my foot down. It took a whole year. But because of that, I actually saved him because they tried to put a court order on me to put the ADHD medication on him anyways. And when they got reevaluated through the court, he was deemed fine, that there was no point of putting him on those medications.
It's an interesting thing. It's interesting. I think that you struggle the same way all other parents do. They just never get to talk about these things.
Yeah.
The stresses of life that we all go through that we never get to talk about. And then trying to get him to eat healthy is something that I think a lot of parents are trying to do now.
Yeah.
They just have no clue how to do it.
And I've just recently had to save him again because I got him fit. I got him into sports. He was running track and everything like that. And I have his transformation on my TikTok and stuff. After he got out of high school, was something about people in sports. It's like it just burns them more. They don't want nothing to do with fitness or eating right anymore. And he still kept up with the fitness, But he started eating trash food again, where he ballooned up over 200 and something pounds on me, where he got pre-diabetic.
Wow.
And recently I've had to, again, put my foot down, like, you're killing yourself. What are you doing? You know, and he's lost.
How old is he?
He's going to be 25, my son.
So he's carefree right now.
You know, so.
It's age appropriate, I think. Maybe not the eating and all that stuff, but it's age appropriate to kind of cut loose and loosen the belt a little bit.
I think he's lost about 40 something pounds. No, more than that. 67 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a wow.
Wow.
Well, good for him, man, because I tell you what, it's not easy to do. Yeah, it's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
I was at 260 some, 270 almost when we started 9 months ago, and
yeah, he was 263, and the last time we weighed him, he's 195, and he's 6 foot.
Wow.
And his neck was turning black on
6'2".
him. You know, and all that's cleared up. He's back to looking like a young man.
Well, going into that, the diabetic, the pre-diabetic, our goal is 100,000 strong. Let me ask you this question. Our goal as a studio is to help 100,000 people in the Rio Grande Valley live a healthier life and lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, education, information. How would you attack that? How would you go and fight obesity here in McAllen and the surrounding cities?
Well, we would have to really, it has to be something fun, because that's what attracts most people. They have to be entertained.
And fitness is not fun.
No, it's not. So that's where you have to make it fun. You have to make it something that's rewarding for them too. Because a lot of people don't see, like you guys saw, how your strength changed, how you felt better, how things in your life became better. And that was highly rewarding for you guys. A lot of people don't see that. They have to be rewarded like with something fun to do or
preemptively. Yeah.
Well, I'll go as far as saying that even when I started talking about the benefits of strength training and losing the weights, that people got offended because they're not doing it.
I mean,
like, it's the strangest thing in the world.
I've been in the business for about 15 years, and I've been on my fitness journey about 17. And I love it because of course, the way I feel and the things that I'm able to do, because I wasn't into fitness at all before, you know. And I get people nowadays like, when are you going to stop all that fitness stuff and just push papers? Like, oh, I made a whole business out of this. Why am I just going to all of a sudden stop and just push papers? Like, why do I need to lower myself for you to feel better about yourself? I mean, I'm totally happy for you if you like, because you know it's that whole body positivity stuff, right? Hey, if you feel great, I feel
great for you. Yeah.
But you know, if you want body positivity for yourself, then you have to be the same for someone that's fit. And I see a lot of that being thrown around by people who aren't fit. They're like, oh, well, she looks like a man, or oh, that's not even realistic, or whatever. And it's like, you know, we just have to be happy for each and every one of us. We're all different. And if you're not into what I'm into, hey, it's all good, man. Yeah. Just be happy with the way your life is. I'm happy for you. Be happy for me. It's just, it's like this, we're all in
competing.
And it sucks, you know, but that's just society. You know, and the few positive people I'm able to hit, because unfortunately, like when I do like super huge transformations for people, you know, first they're awkward because they don't feel good about themselves and stuff. And when I give them this body they've never had before, it's always comes to that point in the training where, is this person going to change positively, like, and be thankful for all the stuff that I helped them with, or are the ego is going to take over and they're going to turn into this, you know, like, oh, it's all me and I'm so this and I'm so that.
Yeah, so, they lack self-awareness.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot of that. So when you're in this type of business, you have to be like, am I in this business to really help people, get them in shape and stuff? And even though those things happen, I mean, yeah, it kind of like makes me feel sad that a person can't see like, hey, this took a lot for you to get here, and you would have never gotten here if it wasn't for my program, my science, all my years of experience. And I'm not asking you to grovel on my feet, but don't act like you did this
on your own.
Yourself.
Yeah.
And I've had it too, where these people will sell my programs for cheaper instead of referring those people to me. And it was one of the most hilarious ones. I like to talk to some clients about it, where a person actually like called me and was like all upset that my program didn't work for them. And I'm like, excuse me, who are you again? And I didn't even know who this lady was. And then finally she's like, well, so-and-so, I bought your program from so-and-so. I'm like, well, you need to call so-and-so and ask them why my program doesn't work for them because it wasn't made for you.
Wow, bootlegged, right? Yeah.
And you calling me mad at me because you bought a program cheaper from someone else instead of buying it from me, expecting me to like tell you something like you didn't buy it from me. You didn't buy it from the person you bought it from. Sorry, ma'am.
So let me ask you this question. I feel, and I we've had this conversation before, is that people don't know how to cook. Is that like the far majority of people?
You know, when I started learning how to cook like healthy, what I thought was sauteing, I was actually frying. I wasn't sauteing.
Yeah.
Learning how to poach, learning how to do all those different techniques. It takes a while to learn because we're really just frying and deep frying our food.
Yeah, in oil.
And that's all we know how to do.
Wow.
And that's what mostly the popular food is all this.
Fried.
And if you notice down here, anytime we try to get any type of really good, healthy places, they always shut down very fast. You know, there was that Mediterranean buffet that was going on that was delicious. Fresh food and stuff, they just shut down because everybody's tacos, burgers. Yeah. You know, all the name brand fast foods.
Yeah,
so basically we're never getting off that list.
Well, also that brings in another subject of alcoholism, and so that's a huge thing that I've noticed because my drinking has gone down. I'd say at least 95%. And
your coach did tell you the importance of not drinking this, right?
Well, I started learning that stuff, so I dived deep into it. Yeah. But I noticed like a lot of people still drink like copious amounts, knowing.
They start on Tuesdays.
Yeah, knowing
the networking events.
Yeah,
they start from Tuesday all the way to the weekend.
Well, the crazy part is that they'll drink, get shit faced, wake up with a hangover, and do it again the next day.
Yeah,
it's mind boggling.
I've never got that. I don't part of several nonprofits of the board of directors for marketing or IT or membership chairs, and it's all about the wine and drinking and stuff like that. And I would get a lot of the people there that would be like, how can you like be at these events and eat this stuff when you look like that? Because that's when I was still competing as a pro for the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation, because I have 2 pro cards in female physique. It's called Fit Body and female figure, you know? So
bring your mic a little closer up. Bring your mic, yeah.
So I would get naturally down to 7% body fat. But what I would do is pretty much if I had to go to these events, because, of course, they'll pick at you. Again, like I told you, the body positivity, for them, but not for you. So I'm all fit. Oh, I bet you can't eat that stuff. And if you eat that stuff, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, so how can I better fit in and show these people that I can mingle with them and still be in shape and, you know, and do my thing here, right? It's basically fasting, and then those 5-course, 7-course meal events that they have, you make up all your calories there.
Well, I also feel like if like when you introduced the word fasting and alternate day fasting to people are like, well, I can never do that. I have pre-diabetes. I have to eat in this allotted time. And I also feel like if you say the word fat and obese, and this is what I've been struggling with too, is how to attack this 100,000 strong, because for me, I wanted to call people fat and obese because I had to have that real conversation.
That's a dirty word if you call them fat.
I had to have that conversation with myself in the mirror. I said, you're fat, you're obese. Like you need to do something before your life gets out of control.
When I started as a personal trainer, I started, well, not really at gym at Uptown when it used to be open, like when they were really small before they moved into the Hastings building. After that, when I got into Max Fitness, it's a more commercial gym. It's the same people that own TrueFit. That was a real bad word to be saying to people, calling them, or you are fat or whatever. So of course you would want to talk about obese, morbidly obese, and you would talk about the health risks.
I would say morbidly obese is worse than fat.
More offensive than fat.
Scary.
That's the way you can kind of trigger them without them being offended that, oh, how dare you call me fat, because you seem more like a point of authority, that like I'm educated and trying to help you, relieve these issues, so
it's a very interesting dynamic.
Some people do need to be triggered, because I've had people, and see, when I told you I started measuring people each week, right? I started noticing how Yeah, the weekends, I mean, you could totally mess up a whole week's worth, you know?
Yeah, with no problem.
And I started measuring them right on Monday, especially when I knew they had a pachanga or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Measuring them. Oh, well, what happened? What do you mean what happened? What do you mean what happened? You know what you were doing? Here's on Facebook. Like, well, I just went. I didn't. That's you drinking. Like,
yeah.
Like, look, dude, lying to me is not hurting me. Okay? I'm going to always be fit. I've been doing this forever. I love being fit. You're hurting yourself. So why are you doing this to yourself?
It's the lack of accountability. I didn't learn discipline until I started going every single week to the gym, and it's fucking hard. There's days that I do not want to go.
You got to allocate that time just as important like a doctor's appointment or your job, pretty much, because it's your job to keep your body healthy to do everything else.
To accomplish everything else.
That's what you have to put in your mind.
Well, the thing also too is I put my life on a timeline. Mm-hmm. So I'm already 41. So you put it on the timeline, you're from 20 to, let's just say 80, right? So I'm 40, I got half of my life left. 40s to 50s, I'm gonna look good. 50s to maybe 60s, I'll look good. And then after that, your body starts to wear down. So if I'm lucky, I got a good 20 years where I can make my body strong, healthy for the rest of my life, maybe even live to 100.
Yeah.
The thing is, doing that scared the fuck out of me because I have very minimal time.
Yeah.
And I think people need to see that.
Yeah, and it just depends on what your actual goals are. Like, I get people that, I want to look like you and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I train for at least an hour and a half with weights. You know, when I'm super ripped, and you can see, like, because I have a whole 8-pack, you know, I'm doing, like, lots of cardio, at least 30 minutes every day, all that stuff. If you have that time to do that, yes, you can develop that body because that's what it takes to get that look. If you're just trying to be healthy and all that stuff, really you just need 2 to 3 days of weight training and then at least some type of activity, cardio, which can just be basic walking, bicycling, you know, stuff like that. Dancing, if you like to dance, to live a healthy life. Because basically women need to be at about 21 to 30% body fat to be healthy. And I believe men is about 25 to 16% for you guys to be considered healthy. Anything below that, like how you see us like super ripped and stuff, that's essential body fat, which is really not healthy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, because you'll see everybody on social media, on Instagram, and we talked about the Liver King earlier. Yeah, like he just got. And
I always crack up when people think that, but I used to be brainwashed too. I mean, that's why I never hit weights when I was younger because I thought I was gonna look like those chicks.
Yeah,
I thought I was gonna look. I mean, we have to be honest. Their chin looks kind of strong, you know, and their voice is really deep. Well, I didn't know that they were injecting all that stuff until I got ripped myself. By just eating clean, and I gained all this muscle out of nowhere just from eating natural foods, you know? So once I figured that out, you know, and everybody's like, wait a minute, you look better than the other trainers. Why do you look so muscular, but your face doesn't look, like, how did you get younger? They were like that, you know? Because it's funny how, if you see my pictures of when I started my journey, like seriously, right? My face looks like a thumb. I look like a tired soccer mom, just wow. Where people don't even recognize me. They see me in the picture that I lost the weight a year later. Because first I had to get through 6 months of misinformation. I had to figure out that healthy choice, that's BS. Smart ones, those are BS. All that stuff that they have programmed for you to take, like hydroxycut, all those things. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it'll help you. It'll keep your appetite suppressed. But is it actually helping you? Because you need to learn how to eat right. Yeah. You need to learn how to program your body to take food at a certain time. And it doesn't have to be every 3 to 4 hours. There's some people that have certain issues. There's people that are known as the night syndrome, where they honestly aren't hungry all day long until it gets to night. So it's almost like fasting. So everybody's different. I just tell people all you got to do is follow your macros or just follow the meal plans. So if you were to give a practical, like 3 steps for somebody to, after this podcast, to get their diet and nutrition in order, what would you say to them? I always tell clients, if they can't do cold turkey, don't do it. Just do baby steps. change little things at a time, because I had to take my time to do it. I didn't just come out the womb fit, you know? So I slowly started learning how to do different things. Like, again, we were talking about the food. I thought I was sauteing, but I was frying. So I'm like, okay, so what is sauteing? So I started learning that. A good resource is gettingwell.com. That's a great resource where you can find awesome recipes that taste good and they're healthy. You know, don't be afraid to try new things beyond tacos and burgers.
We love their tacos.
Yeah. Or make them healthier.
Yeah.
Like, I crack up online when people are like, well, that means I can't have my tacos no more. Well, probably not those burrilla ones, but, you know, you can still have tacos, because the corn is your carb, right? The chicken or the beef in there, that's your protein. And just make sure you put enough lettuce and tomato and onions and whatever vegetables
Pico de
in it.
gallos are your carbs right there.
And that's your meal. You know, unfortunately, we eat the tacos with all that, with the
but I have
rice
17
and the
of
beans.
those, and that's my issue.
That's where it gets all messed up, because look at all those carbs you ate.
Yeah.
And that's
the portion
all that
control.
energy that you need to expend.
Yeah.
And when you don't expend it, guess where it goes? It goes to storing fat.
Right to them hips and thighs.
Yes, and then the alcohol inhibits protein synthesis. So it makes your body not build muscle and makes you store fat. So it totally works against you.
Yeah.
You know?
One of going back to the Liver King, where he just got busted for taking steroids.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
I didn't realize that it's so prevalent here in the Valley.
Oh my God! Do you know how much he was paying per month? It's crazy expensive. It was up to $11,000 a month for all his stuff.
Damn.
Holy
And it's crazy because he knows that it's going to shorten his life and that he'll still do it.
They get such a huge following. It's insane. On one of my blogs, I did an article about a new client that I got. Her past coach or trainer, she told her, like, hey, is there like something I can take so I can, you know, lose the fat faster or whatever? She's like, oh yeah, take this, but didn't tell her what it is. And that happens a lot of very common down here too, where people don't realize that they're taking SARMs or steroids.
So people just blindly give whatever the coach gives them?
It's amazing that these people just taking like, so sometimes I'm not surprised when there's people that get messed up on fentanyl. They just taking stuff and not even like knowing who the person is or whatever.
Or where it's coming from.
But what she gave her was a steroid,
are.
and it wasn't even a steroid to get lean. It was a steroid to get big, you
Wow.
know? And Will, he listed all the side effects, and I'm like, chick, she trying to make other things get big.
Yeah.
not lean
muscle,
down
yeah.
like you want. She's not even giving you the stuff that you should be taking if you wanted to take that. Did you want to take steroids? She's like, oh no, I didn't want to take that. And you know, it's sad, but there's a lot of people that push that stuff because they got to also take care of their own habit to be that size. Because as soon as they're off of it, the muscle disappears. Like it looks
so you have
like
to stay on that forever.
Yeah, and like I just told you, Liver King, it's on there that he, at one point he was paying $11,000 a month for his stuff.
For his physique.
So
I will
these
say,
other coaches and these other trainers get their clients hooked on it. That becomes their source of income for their own. And then it's a vicious cycle after that. And that's why it's gone so prevalent in bodybuilding, so prevalent in football, basketball. I mean, it does make them faster, harder, stronger, but only for a short temporary time.
Yeah.
They got to keep taking it, you know? And a lot of them don't think about cycling off, which you're supposed to. They just keep taking more and more. And then that's why we're ending up with a lot of these deaths.
And at a very young age, too. It's very sad to see.
In their 30s, mid-20s.
And that's the sad thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The people that follow him actually believe
Yeah.
he was clean.
Uh-huh.
So they're trying to do this
The right way.
pushing themselves beyond the limit, even at a young age.
Well, I would say also that the education is not there because you and now that we're going through this thing and we're trying to gain as much muscle as humanly possible, and you can only gain a certain amount of muscle per week, and I'm force feeding myself. It's hard to fucking build muscle.
Well, that's where supplementation comes in. That's where your protein shakes come in.
Well, even at that point, like it's a slow ass process.
Oh yeah, you just got to be patient. But it's the best policy because I mean, I've never had a desire to cheat. You know, people they're like, Candace, whatever, she did something. I'm like, no, I don't. I already got a deep voice. And the reason why I got a deep voice was because I was a smoker for many years, you know. Fitness helped me quit smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes was by far the hardest thing for me to quit out of all the other bad things that I used to do. I'm also a recovered drug addict, so that's why I didn't want to get into steroids and all that stuff.
You know your tendencies.
Yes, I already have an addictive personality, you know, and fitness helped me cope with a lot of bad things that happened to me that I was using other things to cope with, you know, because...
Well, it's a good thing you're addicted to fitness now.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go the hardcore because it could become a bad thing also. I kept it in medium. You got to keep it in middle, you know. That's why, you know, these people, obviously, they want to do things, but if there was a type of service that was provided to medically watch these people, like they could get the look they want without killing themselves, would be awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
I will say that there is nothing like somebody that lifts weights, their body, the way they dress, the clothes looks better on them, the confidence is up. Like those things alone really pushed me to want to get to the next level, but it's fucking hard.
Yeah, you can do it. If you stay diligent, in about 3 years, you should be having a really good body.
See, hearing 3 years.
If you build it the right way, you have a really good foundation. Where you'll start seeing your abs coming out and your shoulders and that broad chest and all, and that nice V taper. But it depends on how you train. And people want to do the cookie cutter crap that's at these places. You ain't gonna, the people you see in those posters, guess what? They train like me.
Yeah.
And they have them take a photo shoot for you guys,
yeah.
thinking you're gonna do body pump looking like them. You're not gonna look like them. You gotta lift heavy. You also gotta do different forms of training. You can't just do like a lot of guys, oh, I just want to lift heavy because, you know, like I want to put my chest in my arms. Okay, that's great. You could do hypertrophy about 4 to 6 weeks. But then after that, the body recalculates itself. And all that heavy lifting is bad on the joints after a while. So you got to go through a rehab training phase to go back to strengthening your ligaments and your joints. And people don't realize that. And a lot of these people that are NASM certified trainers here, because they love to say that, it's in the NASM. That's the Bible of the NASM, to do a rehab training. And none of these trainers down here do that. As soon as they come into the gym and you're like, oh, let me check out the gym and the trainers, where do they take you? Straight to the machines. Yeah. You don't see none of these people training their clients on stability balls, on BOSU balls, where it has to start off with that. Or after they get them through the whole phase of starting from the bottom all the way to hypertrophy, after that, they have to go back through that cycle of rehab and then back up to whatever their next goals are. Yeah. So every 4 quarters, you're changing your types of training in order to get the ultimate body. And it takes different forms of expertise. It's not just lifting. There's yoga involved. There's balance training involved. There's all these different techniques.
Yeah, I never valued a trainer before. Like when we started working out, a shout out to our trainer Mike at BDA. He actually took the time to teach us how to lift weights. Like we weren't even allowed to touch heavy weights until like 3 months. Till we got the technique right, and that's the one thing that stuck with me.
You got to learn how to lift your own weight first and foremost. If you can't do a push up, I mean, come on now, you know, like you got to be able to do a single leg squat with your own body weight before we throw you on a squat rack or whatever, because you got to strengthen those joints and ligaments, and that core strength is needed for that stuff too, you know, and they don't do that down here.
Yeah, Mike did. Mike really, to the point to where we were frustrated already. We were like, dude, when do we get to go?
Dude, when do we touch weights, bro?
Yeah, I get a lot of guys, and it doesn't matter how older they are. I had a 73-year-old Ranger, ex-Vietnam vet, right? All he had been doing was yoga for a long time, right? Before that, he was just a professor. He was my professor at Pan Am, you know? So he wanted to get into weightlifting, you know, and stuff. So, of course, we're with the beginning stuff. I mean, yeah, you do yoga, dog, but you don't do resistance training. That's totally different, you know? So it got to the point where finally we got him to do dumbbell chest press on the ball with 25s, right? He like, well, when I was 21, I used to, well, how long ago was that?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? And were you doing that this entire 50 years?
Yeah.
You were just doing yoga. So get your butt over there with those 25s and go do that damn exercise. Until we get you from the 25s to the 30s, 35s, 40s, all that stuff, then we can start doing barbell chest press stable, You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to gradually
grow,
get there, and you just got to be patient. You got to remember that you guys have been polluted by marketing where, like, all of a sudden, like plastic surgery, you've been in the body. Like, no, it's not like that, you know? And then you got to remember when those people go through that, they cut them up and everything, right? But on the outside, it takes about 3 to 4 months to heal on the outside, but the inside is it's 6 months to a year.
Oh, shit.
And if they don't learn how to eat right,
swell right back up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question before we finish off the podcast. How old are you, and how does it feel to be your age?
I'm 43.
How does it feel to be your age?
A
woman living in the Rio Grande Valley.
I feel, you know what, honestly, I feel great because, and I hope my friends don't get mad at me, you know what I'm saying? But I see a lot of my friends, and visually I'm stunned because I'm like, man, they look like they've really been through it. They look old and stuff. And then I'm like, wait, we went to school together. We're on the same age, you know? But then I made my changes in my life when I was 27. You know, which was the perfect time to, you know, start thinking about my health and all that stuff. A lot of my friends didn't do that. You know, maybe they were in sports before, but after that, they just totally different lifestyle where, the type of, you are what you eat. You're drinking a lot, it ages you. Smoking cigarettes really ages you, you know? When I was a smoker, I mean, I couldn't even scream. My voice has lightened up. I am able to breathe. I can smell a cigarette literally a block away now. And people don't realize all that damage that they think a lifestyle is doing. Like, I have this young guy that I'm training right now, highly successful, comes from a very well-to-do family. And that's the biggest problem too here. When they have a lot of wealth, they don't know how to say no because their life is so decadent, right? So he thinks drinking his wine all the time, every time he goes out to eat, and having a cigar is a lifestyle. I'm like, fool, that's cancer. And you're never going to get the muscularity you want because, again, alcohol inhibits protein synthesis. So that lifestyle you're talking about, that's alcoholism. Like, that's not, I mean, if you're having your 2 every now and then, stuff like that, I mean, hey, I have my beers every now and then too, but I'm not every day drinking. Because when I see someone like that, there's something else that you're covering up than just a lifestyle. You're putting a Band-Aid on something, because I've been there, done that, you know?
You've gone through it before. You know exactly.
Gone through, and fitness has changed all that for me. I feel great, you know, every time I go and work out. So I try to do all those things, and I try to tell my friends that when they want to know. I don't try to be overbearing and, why are you eating this and why are you eating that? Because I don't want them. They already are against it. They already attack it.
You're tiptoeing around everything,
You know, so that's why I tell people, whenever you're not happy and you need to change something in your life, something happens, you're starting to take too many medications, stuff like that, give me a call. I'm here to help.
Yeah, and I would also say, before we finish off, that now that I started at 40 years old working out and lifting weights, this is the first time I consistently have lifted weights, and you as well?
Yeah.
So I would argue that for anybody that's between the age of 35 to 45 is the perfect time to start lifting weights, because you haven't been lifting weights for the past 10, 15 years. Your body's not as tired and beat up. Am I onto something there?
I mean, any time, as they say, is not too late, because even if you're older, like my client that started when he was 73, lifting seriously since the last time he was in the Army as Ranger and stuff, you can still develop muscle and all those things and still protect your bones even though you're older. It's just, we have to program people into seeing this as their playtime, as their you time. You need your you time to be able to take care of everybody else. And I tell a lot of my clients, you know, your parents are going to eventually get sicker and you're going to have to be there for them, because I lost my mom at 33. And I remember a lot of people giving me crap about paying too much attention to my fitness, but my mom was very proud of me because I got myself out of substance abuse, and she saw all the positive things that she told me, which I have to thank her for it, that whatever they say, don't worry about it. I just want you to know that I'm proud of you, and just keep on doing it. You know what I'm saying? So as she got sicker and sicker, guess who was the person that had to help lifting her up? Because the nurses couldn't even do it. The nurses are all terribly out of shape. A lot of them are on Adderall and all these things not to eat and cut up their stomachs to lose weight instead of working out right. So yeah, and my mom, see, I'm 5'6", right? My mom in her heyday was 5'10", super tall black woman. So when she started shrinking, she shrunk down to 5'8", so she was still taller than me. My brother was almost 300 pounds, 6 foot. He couldn't even pick her up.
Wow.
You know, I was the one that would pick her up off the bed so the nurses could change everything for her because it was hospice and stuff, and lay her back down. The person that was the strongest, that kept up with their training. And then I was the only one that was mentally sound with everything that was going on because everybody was with their emotions, drinking too much, watching, you know, her eventually wither away because it took a while to see that. You know, it wasn't like an instant death. You know what I'm saying? So fitness really comes in hand, not only just how you're feeling currently, but when it comes to that time where you need to be there for your parents and helping them walk and things like that. And eventually, I mean, that's an end for all of us. Yeah. Where hospice is there. And like I said, the nurses couldn't even pick her up. My brother, big man, couldn't do it. I was the one deadlifting my mom, picking her up, holding her in place until they would move everything and putting her back down so they could change her.
Yeah, a lot of us are living in quiet desperation and slowly dying. It's a very sad thing to see.
You're living to die.
Yeah. So I want to be able to take a shit by myself when I'm 80.
That's my thing. I want to travel the world and be in my 60s and being able to walk and do all those things. I was seeing how people work so hard for their education and their career that by the time they finally make it, their health is terrible.
They don't have
and they're
the health
just paying
to do anything with the time that
they're already in the
burning,
hospitals and all that stuff. And that's why I try to educate them on that, to seeing the positivity of them doing the small investment, because of course they're always like, oh, it's too expensive, all this stuff. Do you realize how much hospital bills cost? Mm-hmm. This is a very tiny investment to keep you away from that. Yeah. You know?
I agree.
So I do things like that to teach people. I'm not the quick gimmick, here, take all these supplements, you lose weight. You know, I'm very like standard. You got to learn how to eat right. Before we get to any supplementation, we need you to eat correctly. You know?
So for people who are watching or listening, how can they get a hold of you or find you on social media?
I have my social media handles, Candace M. Fox with 2 X's, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I have my own blog called foxfitnessfanatic.blogspot.com. I'm a blogger. I also have my YouTube channel, Candace M. Fox, so I upload exercises, tips. I actually have my own podcast where we're exposing trainers down here that actually are legit trainers and will get you the results you want. It's called South Texas Bodybuilding and Fitness Organization. Okay. So we're on episode 8 with my media man here, Will.
Give him a shout out. Will, jump in there real fast, man.
My media guy.
Will's been running around back here.
Boy Entertainment.
Yes. You know, so they can find me there. Also, they can text me at my cell phone, 956-483-3246.
All right, guys. Our 100,000 strong campaign. Help us out. Share this message. We're trying to give positivity and health and nutrition advice. And it's, you know, we're not the experts here. We have experts on.
We're bringing them on for you guys.
Bringing them on for you guys. So
hit them up. Call Candace the Health Guru, and we'll get you started.
See y'all next time.
Peace.